I'm sorry. Y'all, please forgive me. I'm laughing because these faithfuls are so stupid. And they are so stupid. Like, you literally have Kristen sitting there trying to tell Tara she's a traitor. And I think Tara is starting to believe that she is a damn traitor. I think Tara's sitting up there like, I'm a traitor. I'm so sorry, y'all. This is crazy, all right? I'm JamiThatsMe. Welcome to the channel. We got to talk about the latest episode of Traitors. First of all, Rob decided that he was going to go with Eric out of all people to partner up and become a traitor with him, calling himself a traitor hunter.
Bro, oh my God.
I'm the traitor hunter.
This is what Rob is calling himself, child. I cannot stand it. But Rob's game has worked for him up until this point, okay? Eric with the magic ears and the magic eyes appears to be completely shocked because he wasn't even sniffing up Rob's ass to see if he was a traitor, all right? Now, Eric has two options is what he learns. Either you're going to become a traitor or you're going to die on sight. Which one is it? Of course, he decides to become a traitor, right? They decide on who they're going to murder that night, and here are the options. You have Dorinda, who they feel would not implicate anyone. You have Natalie, who Rob feels will be very hard to banish. I don't necessarily believe it will be hard to banish Natalie at all. Who told you that? Like, where y'all get? How is that I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Either way, Steven is also a person that would not bring back any implication onto them, and it would be extremely random. So those are the three that they are considering. Now, Rob says that he picked Eric to be a traitor with him because he feels like he's intelligent and he sees him as an equal. Now, for me, when I heard that, the first thing that came to mind was, thank you for your services.
Thank you for your services.
Thank you for confirming that when I felt like women were a target from the beginning, I was right. When Colton was doing it, and then seeing how vocal you were when it came to Rinna, how vocal you were when it came to Candiace, but then all of a sudden you want to stand up for Ron and say, I really don't believe Ron is a traitor. I don't know. Maybe you and Colton had some type of eye thing going on or whatever the case was, because y'all had decided we got to get the women up out of here, as many of them as we can or something. All right, that's what's going on. It's time for us to go ahead and get into the breakfast of it all. So Rob, Mark, and Kristen were the first ones to arrive. And Kristen really pissed me off because she's like, you know, these are the two guys that I trust the most out of everyone. And I'm like, girl, I'm so sick of you trusting that sweet, sweet man. I do hope that Kristen makes it to the end. If Kristen wins this overall show, though, I will be very happy. I'm not going to hold you. If she's able to flip on Rob, I would love it. And I wonder if she has an inkling that it is Rob and she's just not saying that she's holding on to it so that she could flip at the end. I'm not sure. But Kristen is very, very smart, but we shall see, okay? But she acting like she dumb as hell, but anywho. Now, all three of them say that they are focused on Johnny when it comes to who they likely think is a traitor and who they want to get out. Now, Mark asks, who would you all recruit if you were a traitor? And Rob says Tara. Anyway, so Tara and Eric were the next ones to walk in. And she says she's sticking beside Johnny and she does not believe that he's a traitor at all. Meanwhile, Maura arrives with Johnny, right? And she says, oh, I feel so bad for Candiace. I feel so bad for Candiace. You know, she really played a good game. I feel so bad.
Girl,
Shut up. Shut up. Johnny is nervous that he is next because of how he heavily aligned himself with Candiace. So at this point, he feels like an idiot and he also feels used. And I mean, I hear you, but at the same time, like, you're there to also make connections as well. So it is what it is. You ain't got to say you feel like an idiot, Johnny. I feel like an idiot. I feel used. How did she really use you? If anything, she saved you. So, okay, Johnny, baby, you giving a little theatrics on it. Like, you calm down, honey. Just defend yourself. You ain't got to do all, I feel like an idiot. Like, what? Anywho, I'm like, Johnny, go ahead. Anywho, so Maura tells Rob that she thought Rob was going to be the one to be murdered because Candiace was targeting him. And Rob says, well,
I feel like she was doing that to help the other traitors left. I don't think it worked at all.
Yeah.
Now, everyone arrives and they realize that Dorinda was the one that ended up being murdered that night. Not surprised. She was at the top of their list. They know that it was like not going to fall back on them. So it's like, hey, let's go ahead and get rid of her. Now, I do feel like if they would have got rid of Steven, that probably would have shook some things up. And I definitely believe that Johnny would have been the one going out later on that day. Either way, Natalie is now setting her sights on Steven. All right. And I'm like, girl, one of the reasons that she's focused on Steven is because of his demeanor. And I'm like, Steven gives off the same demeanor, the same composure or whatever as Rob. The same stuff that they have said about some of the cast, more so Steven, can be applied to Rob, and y'all are looking the other way, and it is killing me. I have to laugh at y'all. So Steven, Mark, and Eric, they're all focused on Johnny. Tara and Johnny are focused on Steven after Johnny pretty much clued Tara in on what happened when he tried to enter the room where Candiace and Steven were. And Candiace said, give us a second. So, of course, that does look suspicious. So I do understand why Johnny is thinking that it could be Steven. I feel like that makes more sense versus why is Lisa Rinna putting her gold in Steven's box? What is that about? Like, come on now. That didn't make any sense. But if you're sitting down having a private conversation with somebody and then you're like, hey, can you give us a second? Like, and your name is floating around the castle, that does look extremely suspicious. But you know what else is suspicious and not really suspicious, but more so stupid? I'm wondering, why has nobody had a private meeting behind the bookcase? The only ones that I saw to go into that room was Tiffany and Michael Rapaport. Why are y'all not using those private rooms to have some of these conversations if you don't want other people to interrupt or know that you're connected? I mean, was it off limits at some point? What's really going on? Rob, Eric, and Maura are all in one room, and Rob is enjoying it all, okay? Because, of course, they're talking about who could be a traitor, possibly. They're literally sitting in Maura's face and laughing. Well, more so, Rob was like smiling. He wasn't even really trying to hide his smile this time. And she's sitting there absolutely clueless about whether either of these guys or both could be traitors. She asked, how many do you think it is? And what did Eric say? He says, well, I think that it could be two. And not once, because she's trusting them so much. Because she's trusting them so much, not once did she think that it was at least one of them in the room with her. But okay, that's what happens, right? So Tara talks with Kristen, only to learn that Kristen thinks that Tara is the traitor, honey.
So then say, who do you think it could be? And if it's me, that's fine.
It was you.
Really?
Now, after all of this is said and done, it's time for them to get to the mission. And I feel like this mission was a good mission, girl. It was good and messy. This was a messy mission. So there's a box for each one of them, right? And they have to get into this box. And while they're inside this box, the traitors get the opportunity to tell them what their opinions are of the people based on the questions that are asked. And the traitors have not made their decision yet. They have to do it on site in the people's face. So they'll be coming out of the boxes, tiptoeing out of the boxes to go and answer the question, labeling one of the names of the faithfuls that are out there based on the questions that are asked. And I'm not really going to go into all of the questions, but just know this, like for the ones that they got right, I guess if they would have got it right as a group or however it goes, they would have made some money and added money to the pot. Girl, they really didn't add that much money to the pot. I think it could have been $2,000. Not even sure. All right. Before we get into the highlights of the questions for me, it was more so that I noticed that Kristen was right next to Eric when they got in the boxes. So as the episode plays out the way that it does at the very end, I feel like Kristen already had her suspicions based on what she heard earlier that day. And that is likely what made her sit back at the round table and just really pay attention to everything. So shout out to Kristen for that. Okay. Let's get to the questions. First of all, the first three questions, I really feel like they don't matter too much because they kept picking Tara for all the questions and sitting up there forfeiting the damn money. That's what they was doing. But what I did find to be interesting was the fact that they felt like majority as a group felt like Natalie was the most manipulative one out of all of them. And then as most of them in the group feel this way, Maura is the one that does not deserve to go to the finals. And I was so with them on this, right? I was so with them on no, she does not deserve to go to the finals. I'm sorry. If she does, then that's what y'all get. Y'all played a very terrible game this season. And it's really like she should skate along. Might as well. She should just skate along. Hell, for all we know, Maura could be the traitor. So let her skate right on, okay? And if y'all feel like she does not deserve to make it to the finals, then why are y'all not in unison voting for her to get her stuff out of here? Oh, okay. So at some point, the faithfuls do catch on to the fact that the traitors just keep voting for Tara. So they're all, as a group, like, well, hey, since that's what they're doing, next time, let us all vote for Tara. That's what they did. But guess who did do that? Johnny and Tara. The very two that everyone is starting to believe are traitors. These two vote for somebody completely different. And I kind of understood why they did that. Tara, I think she didn't want to vote for herself. I just feel like she didn't want to vote for herself, so I'm not going to do it. And then Johnny is like, that's my best friend. I'm not going to sit up here and say that about my best friend. No. So that's why they decided to choose a different name, therefore making them more suspicious because they did not stick with the group. But the group pays attention to the most dumbest things. Anywho, the final question asked of the traitors were for them to give a short list of the 4 faithfuls that are up for murder tonight. That ended up being Tara, Johnny, Kristen, and Natalie. So they were stuck in their boxes while everybody else headed back to the castle. Now, all I could do was really laugh because I'm like, these people are the worst. They really think that because Johnny and Tara are so close to each other that they are traitors. And I'm like, y'all, what traitors are really finna be locked in like that and that close? Now y'all want to pay attention to how close someone is, but y'all weren't paying attention to how close Rob and Colton were. Now y'all want to pay attention to how close they're rocking. It makes no sense. I can't. Anywho, child. Natalie tries to sway a few of them to look at Steven, and she goes into a room with Rob, and it was some other people in there, and Rob is now thinking like, you know what? I should jump on this bandwagon. Right? But I will say this, me and Eric haven't had a conversation yet, but maybe we could do a little bit of eye talking, similar to what he did with Colton.
I haven't had a chance to talk to Eric about this, but we can probably do a little eye talking, you know?
Yeah. And did y'all even get into the video where Colton learned who the traitors were?
Welcome, faithful. It's time to call upon the spirits. You know the game and clocked the lies. Now name the traitors, all in disguise.
Candiace, Rapaport.
What? My boy murdered me. Oh, that's a backstab and a half. I knew I shouldn't have trusted Snake Boy. We came full circle and now I'm back over here. The gay in me is living for this. Rob, go for it.
My thing is this. He knew. I do not care what y'all say. Okay? They are likely told in a contract not to give it away, but it doesn't mean that they didn't based on eye contact or whatever it was. Okay? That is what I believe, because if you already had the belief that Candiace was a traitor anyway, you shouldn't really be too surprised. But the least you should say is, I knew it. But when you learn about Rob being a traitor, you don't give a big, huge reaction. You just say, what? Oh man, no, I was gotten by the Snake Boy. And then the different angle shots that they were doing, I said, child, this is so fake and manufactured. It's just so fake and manufactured, but we're here now, so girl, whatever. Now, Kristen is stuck on Tara because after she told Tara that she thinks she's a traitor, she found herself in that box. And you know what? Although Kristen is wrong with her decision or her thoughts on Tara being a traitor, her reasonings to me still make more sense as to why she would vote for Tara than everybody else's decisions, okay? Or their thoughts on who the traitors are. Let's get to the round table. Because Tara and Johnny began to defend themselves immediately, looking crazy. Like, child, we're going to go out. We're going to go out together. We're going to go out with a bang. We're going to lock in. It's us. Like, whoop-de-whoop. it was not a good decision, but it ultimately worked out for them in the end. All right. Mark tells them to not blindly trust each other in a game like this. And they both say, oh no, I'll trust her with my life. I'll trust him with my life. Oh no. Oh no. Johnny brings up Steven though. And he says, you know, when you sat down and you met with Candiace, like something about that was a bit suspect. And Tara says, yeah, I have to agree. You know, you also begin to put up a wall. And Steven looking like, girl, now what the hell? He said, now you know I don't believe that you talking about, right? You know I don't believe. Nah, boo, that's not me. Nah, I understand. I understand the argument. I'm just letting you know it's weak. I said, ooh, come on, Steven.
Honk the horn on their ass. Toot, toot, boop, boop. Bam.
Kristen then leans into Tara and she says, girl, when I told you that I thought that you were a traitor, girl, I found myself on the short list for murder. So now I'm looking at you. Period. And I'm looking at you too, Johnny. I'm looking at both of y'all a little sideways. So Kristen and Mark pretty much doing all the talking this whole time. All the talking. Natalie finally jumps in and she comes for Steven and he tells her, you know, girl, you barking up the wrong tree, okay? You barking up the wrong tree and I'm going to tell you right now, girl, if you come for me, I'm going to have to put you out there as a traitor because now I'm looking at you. Be clear. Child said, what is killing me the most is the fact that Eric and Rob have been silent this entire time. Do you hear me? Rob still sitting up there with the dagger, has yet to use it, and Natalie had to say something to him and say, yo, can you at least tell the people that you got the dagger? Because I'm the one that's sitting up here getting ready to be murdered, so what's what? And he softly says it. The fact that that man was struggling to get that out his mouth, I have it. Nobody's gonna notice that. He didn't even want y'all to know. And nobody really brought it up, but I'm glad that Natalie brought it up, but nobody's going to look at it any deeper than what it is. But I'm so glad that he only has this week and next week to use the damn dagger. I do believe next week is the final week. If you do not use it, then you can't. And honestly, this week should have been his last opportunity to use it. I don't think he should have held it that long. I feel like you get 2 chances. If you don't use it at the first one, use it at the second one. If not, it's a wrap. That's what I think should have happened. But either way, the people gonna let Rob do what he do anyway, because that's just how they is, right? So Rob says, listen, I don't care who knows that I got the dagger, okay? Because now they know that I got 2 votes. So who finna go against me? Who won't smoke with me? Who won't smoke with me? Who won't smoke with me? That's what it's giving. And it's like, all right then, Rob, do what you gonna do, child. Now, the group ultimately decided to vote out Steven. And when I tell y'all, I love Steven's response to them.
Faithful, and you blew it.
Look so dumb right now.
Period. Now, Natalie apologizes to Rob for getting it wrong, and I'm kind of like, girl, why are you apologizing to that man? Anyway, she says she believes she's finna be murdered tonight. I said, I sure hope you are. I sure hope you are. You probably, in my personal, would be the better decision for them to murder. Anywho, Eric is trying to explain his answer when he was asked about, you know, who he decided to vote for as far as voting Steven out. And Kristen starts to clock him immediately about his silence at the table.
Question, why didn't you have like a ton of stuff to say tonight?
Why did Maura and Natalie get up and leave in the moment that something so instrumental was happening? What are you doing? These are important questions being asked. Where are you going? Come back. Have a seat. Eric was really struggling to get his words out. He says that he was so lost because he was sure on Johnny. But then when he looked around to all the people that he trusted, all of them were giving him a different answer. When I tell you that was so much bull, you're the one with the magic ears and the magic eyes. What you looking to other people for? Huh? Talking about, oh, I didn't want to give a throwaway vote, so I just voted for Steven. And Kristen tells him, you know, at some point you have to have your own opinion. Ooh.
But at some point you have to have your own opinion, though.
No. Right. So, but
And not just follow where the herd, because then it feels like hiding.
Now, Kristen, girl, that was so true. That was so true. But all of y'all this season have been doing stupid things and not using your own brains and having your own opinions, okay? And y'all not recognizing that Rob has been doing the same SHI that Eric has been doing. Matter of fact, Rob, who has been vocal the very past few days, sat silently with Eric, and y'all still are not going to clock that, is insane, okay? Insane. Kristen does leave out the room, and who follows her? Of course, Mark and then Rob, and I just cannot stand it. But he follows behind, and she pretty much tells them, listen, I don't trust Eric. He has no opinion. I don't trust him at all. And I'm like, girl, and Rob don't have no opinion either, but here we are. She says, listen, if I'm murdered tomorrow, then look at Eric. And I said, baby, I'm with you, girl. But to have all this energy for Eric and not for Rob is crazy. Okay, so now it's time for the traitors to link up and decide on who they are going to murder. They want to use Tara and Johnny as scapegoats, but if they eliminate or murder one of them, they're going to try to blame it on the other. Like, they wouldn't do that, or would they do that? Ain't no telling. Now, Natalie has to be going by tomorrow night, according to Eric. And I mean, Rob kind of hinted at that as well. So why don't y'all just go ahead and murder Natalie and stop playing? Okay, free us of this misery. And then Kristen is a risk, but of course, Rob lets him know, hey, you know that you're likely going to be exposed if you end up eliminating Kristen. It's going to put a target on your back, right? So it seems like he may keep her around. Rob says the only option you have is if you keep her, then you're going to have to constantly convince her that you are not a traitor. So he's going to have to do that. Don't know how he's going to do it. And he's like, listen, I could do it if you back me up with Mark. I don't know. They may see through it, and I'm really hoping that they do. All right. I think that Natalie ultimately will be the one going home, but we'll have to wait until next week to see. But I'm hoping that Natalie is the one that ends up going home. And also, I want to say that I am so glad that Kristen was not in that kitchen by herself along with the two traitors. I am so happy that Mark as well was in that room, and Mark is now going to start watching. At least one can only hope. All right. But that's all that I have for this episode of Traitors. It wasn't a whole lot that took place, but it was just enough. All right. I want you guys to leave your thoughts and comments down below about the latest episode, how you are feeling about everything. What are your thoughts about Colton learning about who the traitors were? And how are you feeling about the cast that's left? That's all that I have. Of course, I am Jamie, that's me, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Tell him I preach to the choir. Stand with my feet to the fire. Give all the glory to God. Stand in the midst of these haters, I'm silent, nobody can stop me. Just gotta check in my notification, them numbers hit like it's a praxis. Cashed out at the ATM, and the ATL, they done made a gym. I've been kicking doors like the ATF, got them trying to clone me like Agent Smith. Game time, I invaded gym, high elevated, I can face the rim. Putting shots up, I got laser focus, about to take it over, I'm Invader Zim. On a trip to Florida like it's A&M. Who that nigga, man, they say I'm him. Spit the truth, never wasting film, I can feel it pool